What's up, everybody? Eric here from That's Wrestling. You can find the podcast over at thatswrestling.com if you're listening to this on YouTube, or you can find it on all your various podcast directories. If you'd like to get a hold of me, you can send me an email, eric at thatswrestling.com. This show is dedicated mostly to New Japan and AEW at the moment, so that is what we are going to talk about today. So we are about 24 hours away before the first episode of Wednesday Night Dynamite from AEW, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. But first, I'm going to talk about New Japan, and at the end of the show, I will be talking about the New Japan show in Boston that I attended as well. So a few things that came out over this weekend. If you haven't heard, the New Japan show that was going to be at the Hammerstein Ballroom was actually delayed 90 minutes, and the story seems to be that for whatever reason, the ambulance that was scheduled to be there, because you legally have to have one in New York for whatever reason, to do a wrestling show, was canceled. And some are saying that it was canceled by someone posing as being from New Japan. Some say that it might have not ever made it onto the schedule, but for whatever reason, they didn't have an ambulance ready to go, so they actually had to delay the show 90 minutes. Now, was this sabotaged by a competitor? Was this just some jerk off who decided to mess with New Japan because they wanted to? I don't know, but that is something that happened over the weekend, and it's a very interesting story. But I don't know if we will ever find out what the actual story behind that is, but that's what it kind of stands at right now. So something else that happened over the weekend is that CMLL has fired both Roosh and his real life brother Dragon Lee, and I'm not sure how that is going to affect New Japan. Well, basically the New Japan, CMLL, and ROH kind of partnership that they all have with each other, because Roosh then became ROH champion, so he is the champion now, and Dragon Lee had been doing a lot of work with New Japan, so I don't know how this is going to affect the relationship between those three companies, because CMLL has fired them, but how are they going to are they going to do any sort of pressuring of either New Japan or ROH not to use them? It seems that they were told not to do certain shows, but they ended up doing them anyway. Roosh specifically was in the Battle of Los Angeles tournament, I believe, and then, of course, worked some ROH shows, and it sounds like he did the without permission from CMLL. And then why they fired Dragon Lee as well, not sure. It is his real-life brother, but so is Mystico. Mystico is the third brother of the three of them, so the three of them are all brothers, so I don't know how that is going to go. I'm not sure if the relationship is going to be strained. Lately, New Japan has not been using much talent anyways from either ROH or CMLL, so I'm not sure New Japan is really going to have any issues anyways, because they haven't been using a whole lot of the talent in this kind of partnership that they have. So I'm not sure how long that partnership is going to remain, since the other two need New Japan more than New Japan needs either of them. So as far as New Japan shows coming up, we have the major show is the King of Pro Wrestling show coming up, which is going to be amazing. Has a super stacked card, and you're definitely going to want to catch that, but it is going to be pretty much very early Monday morning for those of us on the East Coast of the United States. on October 14th, so it's going to be very early in the morning on the 14th, but that is a Monday, so I'm guessing, like everybody else, I will be watching that later in the day because I am not getting up that early to watch the show. So the major matches on the show, I did go over to the last, but I'll quickly go over again. We have the El Desperado comeback match. It's going to be Yo Sho and Taguchi versus El Desperado, Kanemaru, and Doki. And then we have a 20th anniversary match number 4 for Hiroshi Tanahashi. He will be teaming up with Hanma against Toriano and Makabe. We have a third match. It's going to be a 6-man tag. It's going to be Bushi, Shingo Takagi, and Naito versus Taichi, Lance Archer, and Zack Sabre Jr. So LIJ versus Suzuki-gun. And then we have a Chaos versus Bullet Club faction tag match. It's going to be Yoshihashi and Ishii and Goto versus Kenta, Jay White, and Takahashi. And then we have the kind of grudge match if we're going to see either Jushin Thunder Liger or are we going to see Kishin Thunder Liger against Minoru Suzuki. Right now, New Japan does have it listed as Jushin Thunder Liger, so I don't know if something's going to happen that match and he's going to bring out Kishin Thunder Liger Kishin Liger for the Wrestle Kingdom show, and that's going to be his retirement match of the Liger character altogether. We will see. Then we have the junior heavyweight championship match against Will Ospreay and El Phantasmo. El Phantasmo won the Super J Cup to win this opportunity. And then we have a no disqualification match for the U.S. heavyweight championship title. That's going to be Jon Moxley versus Juice Robinson. Juice won a G1 match over Moxley, setting up this rematch for the U.S. championship that Moxley actually took off of Juice. And then we have a match for the right to challenge contract that is currently held by Kota Ibushi. He's going to be facing Evil. Evil beat him in a G1 match, so that's what set up this particular contest. And then we have the final match on the card, which is actually the 9th match that's been announced. It's going to be for the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. This is going to be Okada versus Sonata. Again, this comes out of the G1 because Sonata got a win over Okada during the G1. So that's where we stand at some of the upcoming New Japan shows. So going on to AEW, we do have a TV deal for Canada for AEW. So TSN will be airing AEW live, and that will be starting tomorrow as far as I have seen. So for those of you in Canada, you do have a TV deal and you can watch it live. So talking about TV deals, I did talk about how the UK has their TV deal and it's not that great as far as over-the-air free TV, but there has been a lot of backlash, it seems, because you had Cody at one point on a panel. I believe he said that that AEW is going to have a better deal than WWE, and then of course when it comes down to being announced, that is not the case. So right now the UK is going to have AEW on ITV4, I believe, but is going to be delayed, and it's not going to be until Sunday morning when they get the show. And because it's going to be Sunday morning at 8:20 a.m., it's most likely that the show is going to have to be edited for content depending on how edgy AEW decides to be, because during that time of the day, they're not going to be able to get away with whatever, PG TV 14 type of content for a Sunday morning at 8:20. So it could end up being pretty heavily edited. And then they're going to have a highlight show Monday late night at like 11:45 is going to be a 1-hour highlight show. So unfortunately, the UK, as far as free TV goes, it does not have a very good deal. if you do want to watch it live, you can get AEW Plus through Fight TV, which I kind of wish was the case in the United States, because I personally do not have a TV service. And for those in the UK who are like, well, why do we have to pay for something that people in the US get for free? I do have to remind you, cable is not free. TNT is not a free over-the-air terrestrial station like ITV is. ITV is broadcast television over the air, and you just need an antenna, of course. You are in the UK, and you have to pay all these stupid permits and taxes for having a TV, but that's a completely different thing. But the channel TNT in the United States is not over the air. You have to have some sort of TV service, whether it be satellite or cable, or some sort of live streaming service, which I currently do not have. And the cheapest thing I can find to be able to watch AEW legally live is Sling TV, which is going to be $25 a month. So those of you complaining for $5 a month to watch it live over in the UK, I wish I was only going to be paying $5 a month, because I don't watch any other live TV. So I'm going to be paying $25 a month just to watch AEW, whereas you guys are only going to be paying $5 a month. And you guys also get the pay-per-views much cheaper. The pay-per-views have been somewhere around $15, I believe, on Fight outside of the United States, whereas the United States have been paying, $50, $60 depending on your provider. So just given that, those of us in the United States, not only are we paying for cable, but scrap that, just for AEW specifically, the pay-per-views are going to cost, if there are 4 of them, are going to cost us about $200, whereas if you guys are paying the $15 for pay-per-views and paying the $5 a month to see the TV show live, you're still only going to be paying the equivalent of $120, whereas we're going to be paying $200 just for the pay-per-views. And whereas I'm going to be paying $25 a month just for Sling TV, just so I can watch AEW live. I mean, right there, what's that, like $300 a year right there? So it's going to cost me roughly $500 a year to be able to watch AEW live and watch their pay-per-views as well. So it's not such a bad deal that you have over in the UK, because you do have cheaper pay-per-views and you have the Fight TV app. So it's a little overblown. The only problem is, of course, is going to be new viewers, because it's not in a very good time slot to get people who are just going to be channel flipping to pick up on this. Of course, if it was airing live anyways, it'd be like 1 or 2 in the morning. So it's not like you're going to get a whole lot of live views anyways. But it would, it'd be nice if maybe they recorded it and aired it prime time the next night or something like that. But that is what it is. So there we go. So you got TSN is going to be airing it live in Canada and UK. Your deal isn't as bad as a lot of you are saying it is, versus someone like me in the US who does not have cable service and does not have satellite and will have to pay some sort of streaming service to get AEW live. Also, AEW has got a deal with Hot Topic for merchandise. So AEW merchandise is going to be in Hot Topic starting Wednesday across the United States. I'm not sure what it is in Canada. I think there are Hot Topics in Canada, so I assume they'd be there as well. But, I mean, this is a huge merchandise deal, because I can't really think of anywhere WWE merchandise is. I don't know any shops that there are WWE merchandise. So AEW merchandise is going to be in physical stores across the country, in Hot Topics pretty much in malls. There's not many malls that don't have a Hot Topic in them, so that's going to be huge exposure for their merchandise. And you saw what happened when the Young Bucks got Bullet Club gear and stuff into Hot Topic. They were massive, huge sellers. They sold so many shirts through Hot Topic. When I went into Hot Topic, even months after the deal, they had none. They were completely sold out. So that is going to be a huge deal for AEW, being in a physical store in malls. So they're going to get a lot of exposure. So for tomorrow night, we do have the first Wednesday Night Dynamite show from AEW. There's already been 5 matches announced for the card. There's probably going to be one more, I assume. But for a 2-hour show, 5-6 matches, perfect. So looking forward to this, and I hope that with them announcing matches ahead of time, which they have been doing for the rest of the shows coming up as well, there are matches scheduled, and New Japan always puts out their cards ahead of time. I hope this becomes a trend and they continue to put out their cards ahead of time. It makes it feel like they know what they're doing and they've planned in advance, unlike WWE that tends to do everything on the fly, though it seems that this week they have announced a lot of stuff for their shows. So maybe with all the other companies announcing matches ahead of time, this might actually make WWE have to think about what they're doing and announce matches ahead of time as well, and not just 5 minutes before they happen. So we have what is going to be the first match out of the gate on TV is going to be Cody versus Sammy Guevara. There is a Road to TNT episode about Sammy and Cody, so if you can go check that out over on the AEW YouTube channel, but it's really good. Though they have kind of booked themselves into a corner a little bit, I would assume that Cody is going to win this match, which is a little bit of a bummer because I think Cody having the name value that he has, that a lot of people know him, that putting over Sammy Guevara right out of the gate to show that Sammy is going to be a big star would be advantageous. But unfortunately, he has also said, Cody that is, that if he loses this match, he loses his title shot as well. So they could have gone with, well, the title match is already booked, so the outcome of this particular match is not going to affect a already booked match, which you could get around. And I don't think anybody would super complain about the claim that wins and losses matter when they come out and say, well, we already booked this match, so whatever happens between now and that match will not affect that match taking place. We've already put that out there that it's going to take place. But it sounds like they don't have a whole lot of choice here. If they're going to keep Cody in that title match, then he has to beat Sammy Guevara in this match, and I don't really see another way around it. Unfortunately, that's kind of how it went. We also have Riho versus Nyla Rose. This is going to be for the first women's title, so they're going to be the first champion. I assume that they're going to put it on Nyla Rose, even though personally I am pulling more for Riho. I think Riho is a better wrestler, and that is just my opinion, but I think they're setting it up to put on Nyla Rose. Then we have MJF facing Brandon Cutler. There's also Brandon Cutler is in one of the Road to TNT videos on the AEW YouTube channel, so you can check that out. Brandon Cutler is a friend of the Young Bucks. They grew up together. He was out of the wrestling business for a while and then got back in, and now he is going to be part of AEW, so he'll be facing MJF. Then we have a match that had been scheduled, and now we finally, it was scheduled and then it was canceled, and now we have it scheduled again. We have Adam Hangman Page will be facing Pac, which they were supposed to fight at Double or Nothing, but Pac was the Dragon Gate champ at the time, and they just couldn't get anything worked out. They did have a match on a different promotion before Double or Nothing over in the UK, I believe, but of course it did not happen on AEW, so that match is now scheduled to take place in AEW tomorrow night. We also have Omega and the Young Bucks versus Jericho and two mystery partners. Everybody is assuming that it's going to be Santana and Ortiz, the former LAX. Personally, I have no idea. I don't know why they would reveal Santana and Ortiz and then have them be mystery partners of Jericho, but I have no idea who would take their place, but I'm going to say it's not going to be LAX, and it's actually going to be a surprise on who the mystery partners are. Then we also have a Jon Moxley appearance scheduled as well. So that is the current card for tomorrow night's AEW Wednesday Night Dynamite. I am super looking forward to it. After the show is over, I will be recording my thoughts and in a podcast and publishing that as soon as possible. Normally, I plan on going live on YouTube right after the show goes off the air, but I am traveling for work this week, so I do not have my computer with me capable of doing that, and I don't think I have the bandwidth to do that where I am currently staying as well. And then next week, my current plan is to go to the show in Boston next week. So again, I won't be able to go live right after the show. But then starting the week after that, I believe that's what is that, like the 15th or 16th or something like that? The 16th, I do plan on going live on YouTube after AEW Dynamite goes off the air. So going to the New Japan show that I went to the New Japan show, Fighting Spirit, in Lowell, Massachusetts. Of course, they say it's Boston, even though it's way outside of Boston. But that's kind of how it goes. If you're from anywhere within like a 2-hour radius of Boston, you end up being claimed from Boston because nobody knows where anything else is outside of Boston. I am doing this pretty much all from memory for the most part. I'm looking at the results just to kind of refresh my memory. But I was so drawn into this show that I had a notebook with me and a pen, but I was just so taken by the show, I didn't write anything down. So something to say about the show. The show was really great. The venue was amazing. Something that most people don't care about, but I care about, is it was very comfortable temperature. They had the AC going and they kept that place cool, even though it's an old building, very old building. It's a huge theater, probably seats about 2,000 people or so. It was pretty much sold out. There's just a few empty seats here and there, really just on the outer edge in the balcony. I had a front row balcony seat, and it was right off one of the corner posts, so probably one of the best seats in the house. It was amazing. Definitely, if I can go see another show there, I'm definitely going to just go front row balcony because it was amazing. You were just nice and close and could see everything. Also, things that I noticed about the crowd. The crowd was amazing all night. Like, everybody was into every single match, even the Young Lion opening match. They were yelling and screaming and cheering the whole time. One thing I noticed was that there was basically no signs brought to the event, which is different for me because I had only really been to kind of WWE shows for the most part, and people bring a lot of signs. But this show had pretty much like no signs at all. The makeup, the crowd was probably mostly around 30s to 40s. There were a few kids here and there, but I'd say the ages were pretty much 30s to 40s. So it wasn't a super young crowd, but it also wasn't a super old crowd either. So that was very interesting. Like I said, everybody was really into all the matches. Everybody knew who everybody was. So seeing, 2,000 people outside of Boston that have been keeping up with the New Japan product is pretty awesome. So this show had a very house show feel to it. The first match was Carl Fredericks against Alex Coughlin. Excellent match. The crowd was into it the whole time. Fredericks landed some super loud chops, and the crowd just like winced with Alex Coughlin. The finish of the match was Fredericks got Alex Coughlin into a half Boston Crab, and then he started to pull it back into basically like a half Lion Tamer, burying his knee into the back of his neck. The whole crowd, as he was pulling back, the whole crowd was like, "Whoa!" And then he tapped out, and everybody cheered like crazy. So even a Young Lion match, the entire crowd was completely invested into that match. The second match was Ren Narita, who is now on excursion. I believe in the United States is where he is going to be on excursion. He faced Lance Archer. Lance Archer towers over Ren Narita. When Lance Archer came out right at the beginning, once he got into the ring, he just decked Ren Narita. Everybody booed. And then Lance Archer got up onto the ring, did his water spitting thing that he does, and then he flicked the bottle straight up in the air, and then it smacked him in the shoulder, kind of the side of the head and the shoulder, and the entire crowd laughed, and actually Lance Archer broke a smile. So that was pretty funny, and it landed down on the floor. Later on in the match, when he got out to the floor, he grabbed the water bottle and kind of like spiked it on the ground that had hit him in the shoulder earlier. So that was pretty funny. Everybody laughed at that as well. Like I said, it was a very kind of house showy show. So there was a lot of playing with the crowd. And then Lance Archer won with the claw and pinning Ren Narita for that. The next match up was kind of the high flyers match, I guess, if you will. There was TJP and Clark Connors versus Mikey Nichols and Juice Robinson. Actually, this not the match I was thinking of. But anyways, this match was pretty fun. There was some fun dives to the outside. TJP kind of played a bit of a heel role. Actually, for the most part, I think both teams kind of straddled the line. Some of them did some heel stuff and they did some face stuff, so it was kind of blurred lines for the most part. And the finish of the match was Mikey Nichols hit Clark Connors with a Mikey bomb for the win on that. The fourth match, which was the match I was expecting not to go over very well, given these guys are pretty old at this point, but it was the Rock and Roll Express versus Chase Owens and Jado. Going into this match, I thought Chase Owens is going to have to carry the crap out of this match. He's in there with three old guys who are going to have some issues. Amazingly, this match was way better than I ever thought it would be. Chase Owens, of course, did carry the match, and he sold and flopped around for the Rock and Roll Express like crazy. I couldn't believe how much the crowd was into the Rock and Roll Express. At one point, even Ricky Morton hit a jumping, flying head scissors on Chase Owens. It was insane. I couldn't believe it. But of course, Jado did hit, I believe it was Ricky Morton, with the kendo stick behind the ref's back at one point. And then to finish it up, Chase Owens hit Ricky Morton with a package pile driver, and he picked up the win. But this match went almost 10 minutes, and it was extremely entertaining. I couldn't believe how well it went, but it was good. That's all I can say. It was good. The fifth match on the card was Amazing Red and Ishii versus Bushi and Shingo Takagi. Again, this was a very fun match. Amazing Red looks great. He got in some flying head scissors. He did a huge dive to the outside on Shingo Takagi at one point. Ishii, of course, he's going to be... he was his usual brutal self, and him and Shingo Takagi had a lot of good exchanges, trying to shoulder tackle each other, and Shingo not going down for some of them. In the end, Ishii hit Bushi with a vertical brainbuster for the pin there. The sixth match was Rocky Romero, Yoshihashi, and Goto versus Gato, Kenta, and Jay White. The Bullet Club faction was super playing up being heels, and they got tons of heel heat, lots of stalling tactics, lots of messing with the crowd, yelling at the crowd. Again, very house show feel. But in the end, the Chaos team picked up the victory when Yoshihashi got Gato into a butterfly lock. after the match, it was pretty funny because Gato had left his hat and his jacket and all types of stuff over on the ring corner, and Jay White decided to put his hat on and kind of wear his jacket as a scarf. It was kind of a funny sight when Jay White was kind of jaw-jacking with Goto and Yoshihashi a bit while he's exiting the ring. But it was a very good match. Nothing really huge of note came out of it, though. Then we go into the 7th match on the card, which personally I think was my favorite match. It was God versus Roppongi 3K for the IWGP Tag Team Championship. This kind of came out because Yo had rolled up Tama Tonga twice during the Destruction shows to pick up victories. So that's kind of what spurred this match to happen. This match was really good. Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa really healed it up. Again, playing with the crowd, yelling at the crowd. Yo and Sho were so over as baby faces in this match. And then it was a very back and forth match for a while, and then God really kind of took the reins over. But near the end, they got the crowd way into the match because we actually thought at one point Yo and Sho might actually pick up the victory when there were 3 different times that Yo rolled up Tama Tonga and the entire crowd bought into that being the finish. We really thought it was going to happen, but unfortunately in the end Tama Tonga hit gun stun on Yo, and that's where the God retained the tag championship. And then we just kind of had a special 6-man match. It was very cool to see in person, to see Hiroshi Tanahashi, Kota Ibushi, and Kazuchika Okada versus Naito, Evil, and Sonata. I like I said, I brought pen and paper to the show, but I was just so into all these matches and seeing I never thought I'd see, a lot of these people live because, it's the US. So it's not like you're going to see them a whole lot. And they brought over, a huge Japanese contingent, and it wasn't just a lot of local guys. This match was pretty fun. The team of Tanahashi, Ibushi, and Okada were really over as faces. Naito, Evil, and Sonata were mostly heels, but they were really shades of gray because there were a lot of Sonata chants, there were a lot of Naito chants, there were a lot of Evil chants, and of course there were lots of Tanahashi, Okada, and Ibushi chants. This is just a fun back and forth match. Nothing huge came out of it, but one thing I did notice is whenever Tanahashi was whipped towards the ropes or he is running the ropes, he had a massive hitch in his giddy up. It looked painful just to watch him try to run, and his knees have got to be completely shot, and it was kind of sad to see, but he definitely has a lot of miles on those knees, and he's definitely in pain. Just watching him run, it was not good to see. In the end, this match finished up with Tanahashi rolling up Naito into a ground Cobra twist, which is the hold that Zack Sabre Jr. actually pinned Tanahashi with earlier a couple weeks ago for the Rev Pro British Heavyweight Championship. So he got that move on Naito to pick up the victory here. Naito was pretty incensed about that and asking what happened? And in the end, the team of Tanahashi, Ibushi, and Okada were just kind of standing in the ring, and that was pretty much the end of the show there. They pretty much all left the ring, they were all leaving the ring, and then that's kind of when I had gotten up, and most of the crowd had kind of gotten up. And then at some point, somebody started cutting a promo, but unfortunately, I was already out of the hall, so I didn't really hear what was going on because, like I said, it really looked like they were all going to be leaving without cutting a promo. Normally, we stood there for quite a while expecting it to happen. There were actually even before that, there were just a lot of chants of Okada, and then there was a lot of chants of please come back. So hopefully they do make more shows, more stops in the New England area, because obviously, I mean, this show was pretty packed, even though it was a smaller venue. Of course, it was about 2,000 people or so, but I would hope they have a bigger show next time, and something that might be aired. We did have the tag title match, but it's probably not gonna. They did have us. We thought that Yo and Show might win, but of course it is basically a house show. Even though there were cameras there, I don't know if they did record it and are going to put it up as video on demand. They were showing it up on the screen, and they had plenty of cameras. They had a hard cam. They had a couple of floor cams as well. So I hope that they actually did record it and are going to put it up on VOD. What I saw on the screen, the lighting was good. It all looked good. So hopefully everybody else can see it, because the tag match was definitely pretty good, and just the whole night was very entertaining, like I said, because the crowd was really into all of it. So if you can go check out a New Japan show, especially if you have a card like these, where it's mostly guys coming over from Japan. There were very few Americans on here. We had TJP, Juice Robinson, but he's pretty much a New Japan guy these days. And that's pretty much it for people who, and of course the Rock and Roll Express, but they're probably not going to be on any more New Japan shows. But yeah, for the most part, I mean, these are all Japanese or Japan-based guys who are heavily involved with New Japan, except for the Amazing Red. He's only been on like the United States shows. He hasn't been over in the Japanese shows. I don't know what the status is with the Amazing Red. I thought he was retired, and then Will Ospreay kind of got him out of retirement for one last match, but now, of course, he was on this show as well. So I guess we'll see. So that's all I have for that show, and that's all I have for this evening. Be sure to check back after tomorrow night's show. It's probably not going to be available until very early morning on Thursday, but I hope you will check it out. Like I said, if you want to get a hold of me, you can send me an email, eric@thatswrestling.com. If you're watching this on YouTube and want to get the podcast version of it, you can just go to thatswrestling.com to get the RSS feed over there. Of course, you can go check out all your favorite podcast directories and whatnot: Spreaker, Stitcher, iTunes, Spotify, Google Play. The show is on all of them, so you can check them out. And until tomorrow night and the first AEW Dynamite show, this is Eric, and that is wrestling.